Welcome to another video of News and Reviews. Again, a darts review. So this is just continuing the Scolia HOME. So with this particular video, I'm going to actually talk about the application or the console that you log into once you've got, well, when you need to set things up, and then once you've got things set up. So some of your configuration is held here. And then obviously some of the fun which you get to enjoy afterwards is there. And then there is some, I suppose, some reporting or statistics and metrics that you can gather. So I see the Scolia HOME in sort of, I suppose there's a few parts. There's obviously your gaming for yourself, or if you're just testing or trying to improve your game, you may want to do that against the computer. You've got some online gaming. You've got some games that you can sort of play with friends, and then you've got your statistics where you can have a look at. And we'll go through all of this right now. So don't know how long this is going to take. Doing it all on the fly, no editing as usual. So let's make a quick start. So when you first install the Scolia HOME, you need to configure the system and calibrate it. Now the way that is done is you have to log into game.scoliadarts.com. You'll register yourself in the system, and then when you register yourself, you will then be presented with the dashboard. Now on the left hand frame, you've got some sections you can drill into. We're going to go to my boards, and you will see that I've already got one set up here. And if I click on add new board, this is where you put in the serial number, which will be on the box. I'd also advise that if you do have a maybe a label printer or piece of paper with some sellotape, you may just want to put that on the processor unit away from sort of the fan area, just so, or if you don't mind the aesthetics, put it on the face. So if you do have friends coming along, they can create their own little profile. They can join a game with the board code, and then you can all have some fun, and they can have some their own statistics as well. So it's a case of putting the serial number, give the board a name. Can't imagine unless you a kind of like a Riley snooker hall with lots of boards, etc. Can't imagine you having many, probably just the one, and then you just put an address. You can also set it off as a public board, so it allows other people to see the location of your board. And then it looks a little bit like this. You've got some of the stats at the top to say what's online. Don't know what all the colours represent at the moment, or if they're just fancy, but anyway, there's my board registered. You can tell it's online here. It does have different messages, if it's offline or it's calibrating, blah blah blah. So we'll click on that, and then there's some obviously information about it. I've got it as a private board at the moment. Tells you the board state, how long it's been online, and then if you have others joining in, then what will happen is it will show the connected devices, and so you'll see the names of the people that have joined onto your board game. On the right hand side, we've got some statistics, shows you how many games have been played, how much time, how many throws, and then you can break that down by months or all time. And finally, this is the important bit when it comes to setting it up. You'll see the camera images below, and these obviously represent the 3 cameras from the different angles. So you can see that whilst they all look identical, if you look at the numbering system on the outside, it does show that they are looking from different areas. And this is what you use to line up your dartboard with the camera. So the aim is to get everything inside of a green zone space. So where you click on show board ellipses, you'll see that you've got this green area, and the objective is to have your camera on covering all or as much as the dartboard as you can see. Now you'll note that my board is slightly veering out of these green zone, so we can see the numbering out here, so just slightly off. Ideally you want to get all of the numbers in, so it is important that you have one of these clear rings to do that, though I have been in touch with Scolia, as it was their measurements I was using, and they've said that, you know, it should be fairly accurate. You know, it does have a little bit of give for inaccuracy. I will say that, you know, unless it really renders a huge problem, to date I haven't really had any sort of issues, so to speak. It's been kind to me, it's been good, and it's been accurate. I think there's been, from those 2,000 plus throws, there's just been a couple that have been questioned, but that was my son, and I don't know if for sure whether they were in or out. But as far as I'm concerned, all of my throws, which will be at least a third of those, if not a bit more, have been right on point, even when it's getting into the tip. So as mentioned, this is where you calibrate, and it does allow a little bit of give there as well. So if you do find that it's not accurate, then it might be a case of maybe adjusting your cameras. But if you are setting up for the first time and you do get this sort of similar experience, don't get too concerned. Don't start unscrewing things and moving things around. Just suck it and see, because as mentioned, this is my setup and it's been accurate to date as well. Impressively accurate. You know, my eyes sometimes, you know, I thought the dart has landed somewhere, but the board is telling me otherwise, and when I've went up to collect my darts, it's been right on view. So to start streaming as well, now I'm not sure if this is in relation to streaming it for others to view or not, but I did click on the start streaming when I first set this up, and this practically displayed my cameras. I don't know whether that's the case, whether you need to do that each time, but the very first time I installed the system, I clicked on start streaming, and then that put up the cameras, and then from when I put up the cameras, then I think that is when it displayed the live view. Now I know that even when it hadn't streamed, it still shows us cameras, so as I say, I'm not over sure whether that's relevant or not at the moment. But once you've got all of these aligned up, the next point you need to do is calibrate your board. Now you have to do this periodically, I understand. So if things start going out or you get some inaccuracies, just recalibrate the system. And by clicking on that, it takes, as you say, up to 30 seconds. I think it's far less, in all honesty. And there you go, that's the system calibrated. Now from here, we can click on join game, which takes you here. Alternatively, let's just go back to the dashboard and show you from this point of view as well. So we've got 5 tiles on our dartboard, plus a little, got any ideas, drop us a line here. This is what I clicked here just to sort of advise that I'd like to see the UK version of cricket. If you don't know what that looks like and you're sort of more familiar with the US cricket, it's a great game. You are, as a batter, you've got to score 40 or more, and anything above 40 counts as your runs. So if you score 45, then minus 40 leaves you with 5 runs. And then the bowler simply has to throw at the 25 and the bullseye. You get 10 lives. If you hit the bullseye, then you lose 2 lives, or 2 batsmen, and if you hit the 25, you lose 1. So once you've lost all of your men, you collate what your score is, and then you swap turns, and obviously whoever's got the highest turns by the end of it is the winner. Now you can alter this game as well, I suppose, so depending on your level of skill, you may want to only have 5 lives, you might only want to go 20 or 30 above to score. So as I say, great game, and that's just a quick summary. Up in the top right area, you have your profile settings. So this is where you put all your information there. Say whether you want to subscribe to newsletters, and you've got your FAQs, so that'll tell you some things about what happens, like bounce outs or Robin Hoods. Believe it or not, 3 weeks ago I had a Robin Hood on my board, and then I got this one set up a few days ago, and yesterday in a game I got another Robin Hood. Foolishly, I didn't take much notice of what actually happened at the time, simply because we were all overexcited that I'd scored a second Robin Hood in 3 weeks. So I should call it Robin Hood Wednesday. But I can tell you a little bit more about that anyway. So just before I carry on into there, it showed I hit a 20, I hit a 9, and then the dart went through the stem of the 20, and it scored 29. So it did record it correctly, and I don't know if it counts it as a throw, but when I looked at the stats, it did show that. And I'll probably do a little video just to explain that after. Send feedback, T&C's, privacy policy. So not too much up there to worry about. And then the main part there is you've got your local game, which corresponds to the frame on the left, online game to the left, history, my boards, and stats. So there's 2 ways you can access this information. And the look and feel is pretty accurate as well. I use my iPad Pro, and maybe I'll do a recording from the iPad Pro as well, just to sort of show what it looks like from there. So if you go to a local game, this means people that you're playing with on the same board. So we've got my board here, and then you've got select game type. Now, good thing is they've got some extra games to play here as well. So you've got your typical 01s. Now you can do a 170, you can do 301, 501, so they're quite common. Or if you prefer, you can customize that and you can put in any score between that range. So if you want a quick game of 101, or if you want a big long game, entirely up to you. So great configuration options there. And then you've got the type of game you want to play. Do you want to do a race to, so the first 2 that, or do you want the best of? So in this particular example, you can set how many sets you want, so up to 5 sets, and then up to 15 legs. So you may just want to do 1 set, 3 legs, and if you do a race to 3 legs, it's the first to get to 3 legs. If it's the best of, then it's whoever gets to 2 first of all. Obviously, you know, so it could be 1-1, winner gets the wins the set. Double checkouts. So if you do the double checkouts, that obviously means you have to finish on a double. However, if you want to flick that off, then you don't have to finish on a double, but you have to finish on that score. So for example, if it's 32 to finish, then usually you'd have a double checkout and you go to double 16. If it's a 32 to finish, you don't have to go double 16. You could hit the single 16 twice and you would finish. You couldn't go 17, so you have to finish on that number as well. It doesn't have a single to start, so that would be a great little addition should they do that. Maybe a request I'll put in. And then once you've got your configuration set up, you click on continue, and then you put the number of players. Now here you can have up to 4 players. You've got your users. So if you do have your friends create a profile for themselves, they can join your game, put themselves as a user, and then you can select the player from here, and there'll be a list of them if there's more than one of you. A guest, so a person doesn't necessarily have to have a profile to create. They could just be a guest. You put in their name and away they go. And then you've got the bot, which I'm yet to utilize, but I understand that there's different levels. So if I click on the bots, you can select a bot, and from here you've got your statistics at the top, so you can see your average there and what you check out. As you can see, I'm just starting out, so I'm not very good. But then you've got your various levels, so you can see you've got your newbies, which is probably perfect for me. Personalized bots, which again could be something I could work with, but when it starts to become beginner, I did say I was a beginner. Actually, I'm probably nowhere near a beginner. I'm actually a newbie. Would be probably my better difficulty. But then, as I say, you can get up to professional, elite, or you go to the tailor mark. Okay, so if there is any background noise from my little lecture show, I apologise. I'm not going to re-record this, so apologies in advance. So that's your 01 games, And then you've got some new games here as well. I'm yet to play these, so I will do some videos on there. But you've got the around the board. So again, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's simply going 1, 2, 3 all the way to 20, 25 and bull. I've played this in different ways. So for example, as a kid, I used to just play 1 to 20, 25 bull. But I know there are ways that you can hit, if you hit double 1, you don't have to go to 2, you jump on straight to 3, or if you hit 4, you obviously go into 5, but if you hit double 4, that means you've scored 8 and you go on to 9. So there's a way to sort of fast track around. I don't know if that's the case there, but I will be quite keen to find that out. Bob's 27, another game. Again, I'm not going to go into the details of these. And then finally, you've got crickets. So you'll see here from the different games, you have got these different ones here as well. I don't know, as I say, what these actually mean, but we will do separate videos just to understand these configurations. And then obviously cricket, which I understand is the US cricket. So you've got 20 to 15. And then if you hit a treble, obviously that score allows you to start scoring, and then the other person has to score that to take that out. I believe there's another game, Killer, which will be coming very, very soon as well. So they're your local games. Next, you've got your online games. Not going to spend much time here. I haven't played with anybody else online at the moment, but you connect your board online, and you'll see then a number of people come on board. And what have we got here? We've got 1 active player, 6 in game, and then you've got you can sort by name, average, or median as well. So that would be probably quite useful for me to find out who's roughly on my level. I think if I was going to play some of these lads here, I think they'd probably absolutely whoop me. So I'd probably go for someone of the lighter part. You'll also notice as well, it does show you the country. Now, I did have a quick flick in here previously. Again, I didn't play a game, but I did notice that there are a lot of German users at the moment. I think I did spot 1 or maybe 2 UK or Irish. So hopefully, as more of these boards get on the market, we'll see more local players here. And from here as well, we can see that you can set up invitations as well to play people. And if they're not in a game, then you can invite them once they return to the lobby. I'm going to leave the lobby now. History and statistics. So let's go to the statistics. And here it breaks down the statistics. So we've got our O1 games, we've got our around the clock, Bob's 27 and crickets. So I guess obviously as the more games come along, you'll have stats for those. Includes your little single games here as well. And it just gives you some stats of what you've won, what you've aborted in the middle of the game, and what you've lost. Single out, double outs. And then your main stats here, your highest finishes. So you can see I've got 59 there as well. And as I say, very straightforward, very high level stats. And then the history. This is a really interesting part of the board and one I do like. So we can jump to your various dates of games. You can filter down to what games they are. I mean, all of these are O1 anyway. The outcome, whether it's been a game that you've won, finished, lost, aborted, or games, and how many players were playing. So we had 3 players playing yesterday, so we give the board a good testing. But if I add the 3 now, you'll see there's the games as well. Okay, so with this, let's have a quick look at what kind of statistics you get here as well. So it was a good test yesterday, 3 of us playing. I'm 5'7", so just probably average below average height. My son, who's just under 5 foot at the moment, is a 12-year-old, and then somebody that's circa 6'2". So we had 3 different heights at the board, all very, very similar level. We were going to have a race to 3 sets, although we should have changed it to the best of 3 sets. We just ran out of time, and you can see we were playing for 3 hours last night with double outs. So it was a 501 double out. And if we click into here, as we aborted, you can see Ruben actually won. So he was winning a couple of legs in each of the sets. Myself and Chad had won there as well. But then we can start breaking it down. Now, the top gives you the high level stats. You can change these to which sets there were. So if we look at the first set, for example, it will then change the heat map and the coordinates for that. So these are all the legs, but we can break it down further to the individual legs. So in the first set, the first leg, you can see there was a lot of noise and a lot of heat up the top part for Chad. You can see Ruben was aiming towards the bottom, and I was a little bit more all over the place. On the left hand side, it then just shows you who won the game. So we can see there Ruben. We can see what our averages were. My first 9 darts went about 50, so you can see that I was starting off fairly well. We can see how many throws there were. So as I said, we are effectively newbies. And then at the bottom we have another graph as well. So we can see when we started off at 501, how we got down to 0 and how many throws each time. And the good thing about here as well is it just shows you the path. So in the first set and the first leg, we can see that I had scored 76 in my first throw, 501 minus 425. Unfortunately, what would have been nice is if you could have actually clicked on that and it showed you which dart that was, and maybe or which 3 darts, so you could actually see the score. So that would be a nice little feature. If I move away from the heat map, that then shows you the point of all of those darts. So again, as I said, it would have been nice to be able to click those and it may be filtered down to show you which of the 3 points were those particular hits. So you can see I was getting down to the finishing a lot quicker than the other 2 guys, but that proved pointless for me because I still ended up losing. And if we look at the second leg, we can see there I dropped down a lot quicker there. I was doing quite well, but again I still lost that. So we can see my first 9 dart average went up to 70, so I was actually doing not too bad for a newbie, but still ended up losing to Ruben on a double 12. So very, very useful stats these are. I find it very useful to show you, as you say, it's good because you can look into the stats and you can see from a score history, you can see how quick you're getting down the board, and we can see that, you know, it's my doubles that are letting me down here. So it's the outs where I need to sort of probably develop some of my training. However, if we look at, let's take that for example. Not a good example, maybe there's something here. We can see we're all quite slow on the second leg, and maybe some of the others here can see that from a training point of view, they might want to start working on, you know, trying to get bigger scores and where they should be hitting it. And that can be obviously used in conjunction with the coordinates or the heat map, just to sort of show you how you're throwing. So if I go back now to all of the sets there, we can see that for myself, I'm just hitting below the treble there as well. So I probably need to do some work on how I'm throwing it just to get it up a little bit higher. We can see Ruben, as I mentioned, he's only a small lad at the moment, being 12 years old. He was typically aiming from here, a little bit strategic as well, but he'll learn obviously that it does start to make sense to start hitting up here. But he found it a little bit more comfortable to hit down there, and you know, his strategy worked because he won the game. And we can see Chad, who's, as I say, 6'1", 6'2", and you know, he's hitting the board constantly around here. Again, spraying here and everywhere, but nothing that you wouldn't expect less from newbies. So really good statistics. And as I mentioned, I got a Robin Hood, and when I looked at the photo on my phone, I kind of married it up to the time we started playing and roughly how long it was taking each leg, and I was able to identify which point it was which scored 29. So it was showing obviously 20 and 9, and the third dart had gone into the 20, and it had registered 29. So the board is doing pretty good in that sense. In terms of the outs as well, it's doing well. So it does show you as well that if your board is coming out and you've only got 2 darts in there, once you go to collect your darts, it does bounce onto the next person. So really pleased. Is it going to be perfect? For the most part, at the moment, for me, it's been about 99.9% if I was just going to throw a figure out in the air. As I said, it's only been maybe 2 times we've had to do a little override. But ultimately, as I say, it's been really accurate. Hope this has been quite useful for you, and you've got a good feel of the interface. I will do, as I said, I will do some more. So I will play an online game. I will try some of the different game types and do some future videos on those. If you got any comments, if there's anything that you'd like to see, please let me know. If you got any ideas that you think should be there and you can't be asked to add them, drop them in the comments. As I said, I'm quite proactive in things like development, so it's kind of what I work with as well. So I'm happy to do that on behalf of you and let the Scolia guys know. I can see some things that I'd like. As I said, I do like my metrics and I do like my stats, so I would really like some of these to be drilled down so we could have a look at the 3 darts individual and each individual throw. And as I mentioned as well, I'd like to see the cricket there as well. But all in all, really pleased with the Scolia system, and thank you for watching that, and see you on the next video.